if someone starts a photography business today, right, and they go look at your page, it's going to be super overwhelming.
Because it's awesome.
Check her page out, right? Shameless plug.
Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the mama.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today we are with Lizard Nichols Photography. Her real name's not Lizard, it's Elizabeth. But today we're kind of talking about her business, what it was like starting the business as a photography company early on, and how being passionate about it makes all the difference.
True that.
We are here, and your name's Elizabeth, correct?
Yes.
So it's
But I'll
Elizabeth
answer to Lizard.
to Lizard.
Yes.
So you're a photography company on Instagram. I found you on Instagram, Lizard
Yes.
Nichols Photography.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that. Like, just go.
Okay, well, I'll start with the name because it's kind of weird. My name is Elizabeth Nichols. My dad always called me Lizard growing up, and so it was kind of easy to pick a pseudonym whenever I was picking my business name. I wanted something that would stand out, and it does stand out. I've been a little bit surprised how difficult it is for people to spell it. I thought that I was like simplifying my name, so that's been kind of funny. Not like no one knows how to spell Nichols, so that's kind of funny. But anyway, so I officially started about 6 years ago after I got out of college. I went to college for interior design in the College of Architecture at OU, and about halfway through, started borrowing my dad's camera and taking pictures of buildings and things like that for projects.
Right.
And started realizing, ooh, I really like this a lot.
Yeah.
And so then I thought I did some furniture design classes and loved building furniture. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'm going to be a furniture photographer, and I'll be a stylist and all that stuff.
Combine
and then
everything.
I started shooting friends and really started liking shooting people. And then I got engaged, and I'm obsessed with weddings, and it just kind of went from there. So long story short, now I am a traveling wedding photographer. I pretty much only shoot weddings, which is like the best job ever.
Right.
And it pays for my travel addiction, so that works too. And I've gotten it to where now, after 6 years, now I can, if I book a wedding in the U.S., I don't have to charge travel fees. So I can literally, that's the incentive for people to hire me instead of a local photographer.
Right.
Is I get to go, all over the U.S. I've got some international, weddings also. So yeah, it's like
That's super cool.
Yeah.
International is really crazy. Like, people hear that and they're like, what? Like, where have you gone before outside of the U.S.?
Not very many places.
Okay.
I went on just a
More than me,
personal
though.
trip to London with my sister, and I also shoot cemeteries, side note. And
we're gonna talk about that.
different. So I shot some cemeteries and other things there. And that was just kind of a personal trip. And then I've been to Mexico, and I'm going to Scotland and Ireland in October.
Nice.
So yeah.
That's super fun.
Super fun.
So that's super cool. Like this whole it wasn't even what you originally wanted to do, right?
No.
That's not even what you went to school for, but you ended up doing it because you just enjoy it, right?
Yeah, and I always say that creative part of your brain is just a muscle. And so even though I didn't go to college for photography,
Right.
I worked on that muscle of creativity, and I feel like I'm still using my degree even though I'm not designing. I'm styling, I'm framing, I'm able to handle myself professionally. All those skills I learned in college, doing presentations and public speaking. And all that
that makes sense. I mean, obviously our thing is very creative as well, and I agree with you. Like, it just kind of becomes the same sort. Like, because this isn't how we all started. Like, we're all musicians.
Oh, okay, cool.
And now we're doing more creative marketing.
Yeah.
But it's the same stuff.
It's just that side of your brain.
Yeah, it's like
you either know how to use it or you don't.
Yeah, kind of thinking outside the box and moving into so that stuff's pretty cool. So you said you've been doing this for 6 years now.
Yes.
So pretty well established now, which is cool. And it's like your thing. Like, this is the only thing you do now?
This is the only thing I do.
So it's like a full-time gig now?
It is.
It's awesome.
I also have 2 kids, so I mean that could be a full-time job.
So 2 full-time jobs?
But yeah, yes, basically. And I set as many weddings as I can take each year. I had a baby last year, and so I'm doing less weddings this year, than I did in the year before that. But yeah, so it's able to be flexible. I don't want it to sound like it's the most flexible thing ever, because it's not. It's actually super, super hard. But it's worth it, and it's awesome, and it's my
because
dream.
you like it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
So now so we're talking about the good side of this, right? Like, you enjoy it and all the fun stuff, right?
It fulfills me.
So cool.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the part that nobody wants to.
Yeah.
So tell me about the first year.
Okay, yeah. The first year, I didn't start off saying I'm only going to shoot weddings and I'm going to travel all over the U.S. I literally shot like whatever people would pay me to shoot. That's what I would shoot. So I did babies, I did seniors, I did anniversary parties, anything, and it was extremely hard to get clients. Like I was clawing at getting clients, undercutting my prices, all of that. So I shot my first wedding the first year, and in the meantime, I'm doing a whole bunch of different photography things. And I also had a part-time job at Beholden, which is Anthropology, which is a clothing store, their first wedding brand, and it opened in Houston. And that is how I got brides.
Right.
So I positioned myself to be around brides because I knew that's the direction that I wanted to go. So I shot my first wedding in 2011 in December, and it was actually a couple here, Lauren McLean. And
shout out.
Yeah. So first wedding here. The second year I shot 2 weddings. The third year I shot 5 weddings, and it just kept growing. And then I think it was about year 3. I was starting to get inquiries pretty steadily, and I said, okay, I'm going to start being a little bit more picky.
Right.
And it got to the point, and this is when I tell people, when you know you're ready to get into your niche, is when the other shoots were distracting me from success in the wedding industry.
Right.
And
so you had to start pulling that stuff back, right?
Exactly, and I was happy to. But telling people no is very, very difficult, but I got to the point where people would contact me, and sometimes I will do other shoots every once in a while. But I got to the point where people would contact me, and I could say, no, I'm sorry, I only shoot weddings. You might want to check with, so-and-so photography.
So you start referring people out.
Exactly. Yeah. But so it just kept growing, and then 2000, I think it was the beginning of 2015, I did a bridal fair here, and booked up my entire year by January 15th. And that was like the best feeling ever. And so that year I had several local weddings, more so than normal, but that got me so much publicity, and I really worked at getting published, and things like that. And so that got my name out there, and that having that many weddings in a year gave me a bigger budget. So then I got to start advertising on The Knot, which is a super expensive way to advertise. And for a lot of people it doesn't work, but for me it does. I get inquiries every single day from people. And by doing that, so I'm in Midland, Texas, but I advertise in Oklahoma on The Knot. And that's an easy place for me to travel, and it's a very central location. And a lot of people from Oklahoma have weddings elsewhere. So my name's out here. I don't need to advertise here right now. So I'm getting my name out in Oklahoma, and you can just kind of bounce around and do what you need to do. So that's kind of how it grew and
I love that.
blossomed.
What cracks me up about this is whenever you're saying like the first, second, and even like the third year doing this, you weren't doing a ton of weddings yet, right?
No.
That is really interesting to me because I'm picturing the person in their living room right now thinking like, I want to be a wedding photographer.
Yep.
And I'm going to have 20 weddings.
It does not work that way. You scratch and claw. And the first wedding was someone I already knew. Like it wasn't like
that's where you start.
Strangers immediately started contacting me. You have to have a good portfolio to get people that you don't know. I did have a friend. She's a really great photographer. Her first year, she hadn't shot a wedding. She goes, "Oh yeah, I've booked 12 weddings," and I was like, "Are you kidding me? Like I'm here like shooting puppies, and how is this?" And she just had a bunch of people that she knew. She was really friendly and outgoing, and a lot of her friends were getting married, and she was, doing it for really cheap because it was her first year. And so it does happen that way for some people, and it's really easy to start comparing yourself.
Right.
But it doesn't work that way for everyone, and it can be really, really slow, especially if a small budget. And I was working my other part-time job, and I was taking all these other shoots to make money, and I also, it would be pretty dishonest, I feel like, to not mention I had a husband who had a full-time job.
Yeah, to help with that.
That makes a huge difference.
Yep.
So there are people out there that, either aren't married or whatever, are doing it completely on their own. That's hard. That's really, really hard. So
running a business any time, like doesn't matter if you have a partner or whatever, like it's hard.
It's extremely
hard. It's incredibly difficult.
And besides all of the work and the editing, which is a whole nother thing, there's like numbers and words and like accounting and like all this boring stuff that you have
the
to
business side
figure out. Insurance, like things that
and this is
people don't like.
No, exactly. And this is an issue for I think a lot of creatives is
yes,
like
it is.
we want to do the fun stuff, the thing that we wanted to do, but we sometimes get the wrong advice, or we're talking to the wrong
Exactly.
people, and then we don't realize when we get into the creative business side, like we want to make money doing it, we don't realize that there are things that we have to do as creatives to protect ourselves and make sure that the business doesn't go under.
It's kind of like
That's super not creative
I
stuff.
had my part-time job at the wedding store, which was just like fun. I just got to hang out around wedding people in love and like you know
lovey-dovey.
beautiful things. But I also had to
Doves.
clean toilets, like
Yeah.
you know. So it's the cleaning toilets of the photography like world. And I remember cleaning a toilet one time, and I was like, I went to college, like which sounds really
What am I
bratty.
doing?
It sounds
No,
really
yeah.
bratty, but
I
like
get that, though.
that's the reality of it. And I do think like, okay, I'm gonna sound really old when I say this, but like this next generation of young whippersnappers, like they have some people, not all of them, but some of them have a really hard time doing anything that's not fulfilling
Right.
all the time. But nothing is fulfilling all the time. My kids aren't fulfilling all the time even, and I love them. Like
Yeah.
you know, so anything you do, any office job or whatever, it's not going to be
To
perfect all
do
the
so,
time.
and this is so. I've got a funny thing going on in my head. Like, if you want to do something that's fulfilling, right? Like, it's totally possible.
Yeah.
You just can't think that that's the only thing in your life.
Exactly,
Right?
yeah.
Because, like, what is a story you hear about with Prince, right? Where Prince wanted to, like, he was trying to record music, right? Like, no one would give him a shot.
Yeah.
So he mopped and swept floors to get free studio time.
Yeah,
And it
exactly.
sucked for him, but at doing that part of the work that he wasn't really there for, led him to being able to do the
And
thing
while
he
he was
wanted.
mopping those floors, he didn't see what he was going to be.
Yeah.
Like he didn't see the whole path then
Oh,
either.
yeah.
You know what I mean? He was just doing what he had to do.
Yeah, and well,
So-
that's another thing too. Like, so many people have this idea, like I was telling you, the person sitting there, I'm at 20 weddings, right? They think they have an idea of where they want to be, not really contemplating and really thinking about that. That
little-
may not be where I'm going to end up.
Yeah.
Like, chances are,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that's not where you're going to end up. Like, you went to college for,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and now
exactly.
you're running a
and before
successful
I went to
photography
college,
business.
I'm in a family of a bunch of engineers, and I just assumed I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, I'll probably just do engineering. And then when I started looking at the like majors that you could choose at Oklahoma, I thought, man, why? Like, I should try something, and that was the time to try it too. So
Yep.
you don't know where you're going to end up, and never thought I would be living in Midland again. And I'm here.
Yeah, most
So,
people. Yeah, I get
you
that.
know, yeah.
And it's so that's the other thing too is cool because like you went off like you were young, you like wanted
Yeah.
to try stuff, which is another thing I think a lot of people should think about as well, especially like you're saying, like younger generation. I had a conversation with someone last night, and I won't say names or anything, but it was like he wanted to do something professionally, but didn't feel like he was getting there to that level, right? And he's like 19. And he was like, "Oh, I'll never be able to do that." Like, you realize
give it
that,
some time.
like, you understand like how young you are,
Yeah.
and goes for everybody, right? Like, oh, I'll never be good at. Like, if you really, really love what you're doing, right? Like, give it a try. Like, you
Yeah.
never know. And if later down the line you realize and the market's telling you you're not very good at it, you can try something else because then you're only what, 22?
Yeah. I have a friend who like loves to hike and be outdoors and do all these things. And there are people that are sponsored to do that. Like people that live in a van and they blog post and things like that.
Right.
And they literally are paid to travel and hike and do things like that. And they're sponsored by Carhartt. I don't know.
Yeah,
hiking things.
little things.
But so he was talking to me about that, and he's a nurse and he works very, very hard. And so one time when I'm like, well, hey, how do you like your job? And he goes, oh, it's just a job. He goes, it's really, really hard. And he goes, but he goes, the way I get through it is that I know that work allows me to do the things that I love.
The thing that you
it's
love.
like there's
Yep.
a lot of young people right now that think their job has to be perfect and fulfilling all the time, and they're going to quit these careers and then be poor. Like,
Yep.
I mean, really, they're going to end up being broke and have nowhere to go. So while it is really nice to be able to just quit your day job and do what you love, like maybe just try to find joy in the things
Yep.
that you have
Well,
right now and see where that leads you.
Yeah,
Because you don't know.
you've got to
yet.
have stability,
Yeah,
right? Like,
exactly,
you've got to have
yeah.
stability in that sense.
Yeah.
Because, like, I get the thing, like, you hear that a lot, like, if you just work, like, well, the other thing, too, is, like, anything can become a full-time gig if you give it enough time,
Yeah.
but you can't expect that to happen right away.
Exactly.
Right? So,
Exactly, yeah.
the thing is, like, there are plenty of people, the other thing too is the time wasted, right?
Yep.
So a lot of people who like they do their 9 to 5 and they're like, well, I don't have time to do that. Like, no, you got plenty of time. The problem is like,
prioritizing.
yes, you're watching Netflix and you're going out to bars and
Exactly.
you're doing like, you got plenty of time. You're just not using it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
The things that you want to get done absolutely will get done. Like that's, yeah. I know all about that with 2 kids and as much as we travel and what is prioritized gets done. And it's not, whenever I say, I
Exactly.
don't have time to cook and eat healthy, well, no, it's just not my biggest priority
it's
right
not a
now.
priority,
That's-
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's like right now I'm in the middle of like this. I'm trying to like revamp my diet and like eat healthy. And I've been thinking about this for years, right? Like I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And it was always just in the back of my mind. But the past week I've like really prioritized it, like everything. Like I'm gonna have for lunch. When are we past lunch already? I haven't even eaten yet. But like for lunch I'll have like a piece of bread and some tuna salad. Like that's my lunch. But normally what would happen, guys? We would go out and we would go
Bush's
get Bush's or
I had
Dairy
Bush's
Queen.
chicken today,
Yeah,
that's why I'm
that
saying
sounds so good. Oh my goodness, some
Yeah.
fried food.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's all becomes prioritizing stuff, and sometimes people just don't realize they don't really want something enough.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So-
And yeah, you just have to be patient with yourself. And it's super easy on social media, which is really the biggest marketing tool that we have, I feel like, right now.
Oh,
it's
it's
really
so
easy to
huge.
start comparing yourself. I mean,
Yep.
people do it.
Well, and
so,
that's true. So this is something I've never really thought about. Like if someone starts a photography business today, right, and they go look at your page, it's gonna be super overwhelming.
because it's awesome.
Check her page out, right? Shameless plug. But that's what happened. Like
Yeah.
someone will get in, they'll look at that, and they'll look at all these other business pages that they want to look like, and then they're like, well, crap.
What do I
right?
do? Yeah.
Versus looking at like, hey, it took them a while to get
Yeah,
there. Like
exactly.
everybody started where you're at.
Exactly, and all my early stuff I have removed from my pages
Yeah.
because it's that embarrassing. Like,
Yeah, you feel embarrassed
so,
by it.
Yeah, and there's a lot with photography, especially. There's a lot of photographers out there who are so unwelcoming to new photographers. They're like, they didn't go to school for it, or they're just undercutting their prices, and people are hiring them because they're cheaper than me, and they'll never be blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, we were all that photographer at some point.
Yeah.
We were all
Don't be a jerk.
the new ones coming in and over editing and doing like what we so
Well, and you're trying to compete, right?
Yeah,
That's basically what it is.
exactly.
And sometimes you make bad decisions because you're young or whatever.
Exactly.
But yeah, it that cracks me up too. That's a whole other thing, like where people are like visceral to other people in their environment
Yeah.
because they feel threatened.
yeah.
That's all it
Which
is.
is ridiculous because, and even with social media, like it is huge. The pool of it's very saturated with photographers, but it's also people are getting married every day. Like
Yep.
there will be enough weddings for everyone. We were kind of talking about that on the phone the other day, like that I'm in the Rising Tide Society, and their whole like mantra is community over competition.
Right.
So it's all about collaborating and helping each other, and it's been really pretty awesome. Especially we have got like a little chapter in Midland, and we all get
How long has
together
that been
once
going
a month. I think about I want to say a little over a year. I don't think it's been 2 years. I'm trying to I was pregnant, and then, but it's been really great. We started out really small. It was just me and a couple other girls. And it's just been really encouraging to see how many creative people and business owners are here, and you should totally join it.
We're on
yeah,
it.
I've collaborated with some of them on photo shoots and things like that for my workshops, and it's been really.
I really like that because this was something that, like, when we first started this, we've been about 6 months now, so we're still super young. But this was a thought process that came to my head too. Was like, I thought there weren't very many creatives out here,
Right.
right? And that environment, the chapter you guys have going on, is super interesting to me because getting these creatives out in the open so that people know they exist
Exactly.
is huge. Because normally when this happens is because we do a lot with freelancers and stuff, we try and find people local, but sometimes we go talk to business owners and they're like, oh, we've been using this guy out of Austin forever, right? Which I understand because over there they're kind of placed on a higher pedestal than here.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important to kind of get that out and get people to understand, because I mean, yeah, it's just what it is. Like, there are plenty of people here that could do the same work as the people in
That's
Austin.
exactly right. And there's how do I say this? There's people here that really hate on Midland, and but they're here. So, and okay, the whole first year that I moved back, I was not real thrilled to be
Right.
back here. This was just not was just not my plan. And so I spent like a year pouting, and then decided. I mean, basically,
Yeah, I get that.
And then I was like, I don't remember who posted it, but it's some watercolor artist on Instagram posted that phrase, "bloom where you're planted."
Yeah.
And I like remember it was like literally
Love that.
a like conscious decision moment, like, all right, I'm gonna
make it work.
stop pouting, and I'm gonna get my name out there here, and I'm gonna like plant roots and all that, and just try to see what happens. And it's been awesome.
Yeah.
And then I joined that group, and I just feel like I really fit in here, and I'm still traveling all the time. Like it's not like all the weddings I shoot are in Midland, so because we've got like 4
and
weddings,
even if they were right, like you enjoy photo
then
shooting,
people know who I am. So it's, you just gotta kind of embrace. I was in Houston before this for a couple years, and so everywhere you go, you're anonymous. It doesn't really matter who you are, and I there's pros and cons to everything. That can be good. I can go to the grocery store without makeup, and I'm not going to see someone I haven't seen in 10 years. But here it's like you're famous everywhere you go, no matter who you are. Like I see people that I know everywhere, and that's a good feeling. And so I don't know where life will take me, but if I'm here and I'm 78 and I'm walking into Opal's table downstairs, I'll walk in and be like, hey, there's that crazy lady with all the dreads. She's got a camera on her all the time. Like that's the crazy old lady. I'll be the crazy old lady here, and it'll be awesome.
Well, it's cool though, right?
Yeah.
I love the bloom where you're planted thing. Like that.
Yeah.
This is a whole other thing for me too. Is a lot of complaining, right? About people like saying like we're here in Midland, right? A lot of complaining. And we've talked about this 3 or 4 times already with different people that everybody's like, well, there's nothing to do here. There's nothing to do here. It's all little things, right? Like, oh, I don't like being here and I want to move, because we see plenty of people move away. People in the younger generations that are moving to San Antonio because they think life's going to be better over there.
Yeah.
And then they realize real quickly
it's
not where they're at.
Yeah.
Right? It's an internal thing.
And when I lived in Houston, which is like, there's a million things to do. We never did anything.
Yeah.
You still do your day-to-day.
It's the same thing,
You drive to where you come. It doesn't matter if there's mountains or no trees or what. You know what I mean? Like you're still, and if there's nothing to do, then get involved and make something to do. There's a whole bunch of people now creating events for Midland. Like the Lights Fest is coming here. There's movie in the park. I mean, like little things. But people are behind the scenes organizing that because they're trying to give life to Midland, and they're blooming where they've been planted.
Right. It's so weird to me that like it's like counterproductive, right? That everybody's sitting here complaining about this stuff, and then there's stuff happening. They just want to keep complaining. That's all it is.
So if there's, and like here, when I first moved here, before I was in that group and thought there's no creatives, it's like, that can be annoying, or you can be like, oh, so there's a spot for
there's an opportunity. Yes.
So there's only 4 wedding venues. Okay, so build a wedding venue. Like, whatever it is, go be that person and build it, and they will come.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right.
But
so
basically,
this is one of the reasons why I was really interested in developing a marketing firm for this, was because and it gets more interesting, and now we're noticing that there's more creatives here in the area that are like freelance creatives, that there's no reason these guys shouldn't be getting hired by businesses to do stuff. Like having a business hire a professional photographer to come in, or hiring, like we had Melissa Ayler from the Paper Honeybee come in, who does the calligraphy stuff. Like there's no reason why businesses shouldn't be hiring her for some stuff like that. But instead, because they're not, and hopefully we can help become that bridge. Because we're doing all the crap, which is like going and talking to the business owners, which is never fun, right? And I'm at least not for me, right? I'm not super salesy. I'm not into that world. But making the connection between the creatives that are here who need exposure, need that, or can do the work, making that bridge to them for them to go find that work in the corporate sector in this world, in the area, is super interesting to me, so that we get the local businesses to start doing more local.
Yeah, and they've got to hustle too, like, because there's people out. I mean,
you're right. No, you're absolutely right.
There's people out in Austin and stuff that are getting these accounts, and no, I'm not hating on them at all. Like, more power to you. They're hustling and they're getting these out of town clients. So, over hustle them, like.
That's,
work harder. Like, I don't know.
You're right. You're right.
You have to be, just like how we were saying, and I'm not saying anyone who's struggling is pouting. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Right.
But it is possible to just get so down and think, well, no one wants to hire me here because I don't live in Austin, or I don't look right, or whatever.
Oh, the complaining makes me mad.
Be friendly.
Yeah.
Go chase those accounts, and just, I don't know.
You're right. No, I totally agree, and I'll expand on that because I feel like it's a passion here, right?
Yeah, right.
It's no, that's real. Like I hate that stuff so much. It's all complaining. Like I can't do this. Like not everybody, right? Let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
But there are people that do that. Like if you sit there, if you're complaining about a situation, like what good does that do you?
Yeah, exactly.
What you're wasting time, right? Like you were saying, like you spent a year kind of pouting in Midland, and then when you turn the switch on, it was
awesome.
like everything's awesome.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything
and those
is
first,
awesome.
I mean, I went and got my first weddings.
Yep.
It was not easy.
Yes.
Not weddings.
The
everything.
wait, wait, and the hope and the pray that they call.
Yeah, and following up on emails and really feeling super insecure in those situations. Now I'm used to it, but like I hated. Oh my goodness, I hated emailing people that I hadn't heard back from. Like, hey,
as the follow-ups,
just checking with you.
Yeah.
Did you get my packages? Like it makes you feel, or made me feel really little. And a lot of times I would never hear back, and then sometimes it would work.
Yeah.
My Ireland wedding was
a
hard sell. You know, because it would have been cheaper to get somebody out in Ireland, but I got it. Like, so you have to. I didn't get all of them though.
Yeah,
you know, like
of course not.
there's plenty of weddings that I haven't gotten, and I've learned to just move on. Tons of publications that have rejected me over and over and over and over, and you can't.
And then, especially early on, you have way more losses than you do wins.
Oh yeah.
Way more losses, and
like
that's
90%, 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at that point, like if 90-10 is the real number, like it becomes a numbers game. Like if you want a sustainable business, you've got to make that 10% like work.
And I knew I wanted to pursue weddings. I knew that pretty early on. And so, I scratched and clawed for that, and I did one wedding it doubled every year. 1 wedding, 2 weddings, 5 weddings, and it just grew. And
so here's another question for you, kind of thinking about it. If you, because I think this is important for everybody, for like new people joining any sort of genre, really, any creative, well, not even just creative, any business, for like getting connected with people who have been there is super important, because I have a funny feeling if you could do that first year over again, you'd be better at it.
Oh man. And I host workshops. I actually am announcing, this is a good plug. Everyone listen.
Plug.
I'm actually announcing tonight a workshop that I'm hosting, like for beginners on through. I've done a couple workshops before for like people that are almost pro, but not like quite. And this one is for literally people who haven't even bought a camera. And then there's a part for people who have a camera just starting out, and then there's a part for pros. So I've kind of broken it down to be more affordable. But that's one of the best things I did. Probably about a year and a half into my business, I went and took a photography workshop with the people that shot my wedding, because they were like killing it. And that was the most valuable thing I think I have ever done for my company, was going to a workshop. And it was expensive, and I really didn't know what to expect, and I'm not I love talking about myself, but I'm not the best in like networking situations. I get really insecure.
Well, and events like that are really interesting to me, because like what are you doing? Like you're creating competition. Yeah,
literally.
Right? Yeah. But when you understand what that does, like when you're giving away that information, you're willing to do that stuff, like people pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, and I've never thought of it as creating, that's true, you are, but like everyone that I've ever mentored through my workshops, it doesn't feel that way. Like we're always now
and it should never
friends.
feel that way.
There's one, I'm going to give a shout out to Lori Faber, my BFF in photography. She has just always like come to me for advice and things like that, and I feel like she would say like I've mentored her, but we are equals now. Like she is so good at what she does, and she second shoots with me all the time. So that is not a competition that I've created. That's like almost a partnership.
Yeah.
Like, so,
and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like this, it's the thought process of like, it's all about, this being just a good person.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that always comes back.
Right, exactly. And just like Rising Tide Society, community over competition, I think of it as building a community of friends and people that can rely on each other, not people that are going to steal weddings from each other, because that really never happens anyways, that you get the same inquiries. Like, no. But even if you did, people are always getting married. So.
Yeah, it's true.
And everyone finds their own niche. There's so many things you can do with photography and all other types of marketing, all kinds of other businesses, that it's not going to get too crowded. It's just not.
We say this all the time here at the offices. It's never a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Like you winning doesn't mean someone else loses, and not vice versa. That thought process is not only backwards, but like super counterproductive to the industry you're in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
So let's talk a little like what do you do? So now we kind of get into the world that we're doing, because you said social media is huge for you.
Oh yeah.
So kind of where did that start? How did you get into this? What are you doing now versus what you first started doing? Like, what advice would you give in social world?
For social media?
Yeah.
You have to literally always be doing it.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't want to say, it's a little bit different for everybody. I think downtime is really important. However, when I'm on vacation, I schedule posts on Facebook while I'm traveling. Like, you have to be present all the time. I took almost a whole year off when I had my last baby, and still had to be present. Because on Instagram especially, if you're not posting, you're losing followers every day.
Yes.
So that's really hard. Blogging, I totally dropped the ball on, and I'm getting back into it. So I'm not perfect on social media.
And it's hard though, right?
It's so hard.
Super difficult.
Social media itself can be a full-time job. I tried for a very short while hiring it out, and it did not work for me. It works for a lot of people. So if you can afford that, go for it. But man, yeah, and then whatever the shadow ban thing was on Instagram, that was terrifying. I don't know that was really real, but it was terrifying. So Facebook, I just am trying my first Facebook ad tomorrow.
Nice.
So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I've heard mixed things about it.
Well, we'll talk about that. We can talk about that.
I'm doing an ad for my workshop to see. I'm because that's time out. That's the other thing when you do a workshop, you're putting yourself out there, because it's
yes.
I'm
you got to
I'm
know
hosting
your
a
stuff.
party. Does anybody want to come?
Yeah.
That's really what it feels like.
I love that.
So I'm we can dance. We don't have to talk. I don't. Anyways, I digress. But so I'm trying my first Facebook ad, and we'll see how it goes. I really kind of had let my Facebook. When I had my son, I really tried to take some time off, which is really hard for me to do because I'm addicted to my job. But so I focused on Instagram a little more and just personal projects, my cemeteries. So Facebook and my blog kind of dwindled. Plus, my blog crashed 1 million times. I had to start over. But so I think blogging, honestly, is a really important thing to do that people are starting to ignore because of Instagram. And I think it's important because I do not think Instagram will be around forever. It will be around a long time. But people, and especially photographers, are really starting to get frustrated with trying to be visible on Instagram. It's starting to get a little bit frustrated.
Oversaturated.
Exactly, and Facebook bought them, and so I think people are looking for a new venue already. I do think Snapchat is about to do some things. I heard. I don't know
Snapchat's going to get very interesting in the next few years.
See, and I need to do Snapchat. See, there's always more that you need.
There's always more. So this is another thing that we talk about all the time, because that's what we focus on, right? Is helping people go through their social media stuff, because it is not easy. None of this is. And the thought process that, I can do this part-time, sure, but guess what? Someone's going to come along that's going to do it better than you, and you're going to lose market share, right? And then you just have to be on top of this stuff.
I do have to take a break every once in a while from looking at my number of followers.
Yeah.
Because you can obsess over it, and then someone will come in, and they're boom, they get 1,000 followers, and you're like...
Yeah, and it's frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
And just understand, and so my thing, my thing on that is as long as, in fact, I try very hard not to pay attention to followers, because I think that it's, first of all, I think it gives you a wrong impression of what is actually important.
It's not a good reflection,
Yes.
I agree. Yeah.
Because, for example, Instagram, what do we have? We have, right now, we have 1,000 something followers. But those followers are people who actually care about what we're doing, versus you see plenty of people get on who have 5,000 followers. None of them care about this guy.
And I will say, I think a big trend right now is to do those, I don't even know, apps or auto bots that will get you likes and followers. Do not do that.
No.
That's going to come back to bite you. That's the same as being spam on your blog and putting in false code and stuff. Don't do it. First of all, you're ruining SEO and stuff for all of us. Thank you very much. And also, people notice. If I go and you have 12,000 followers and your last post has 60 likes, that doesn't send a good message to me. Oh, I think I just touched my mic. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Doesn't send a good message to me or anyone else. I don't know. Just don't do it. And I do think it'll come back to bite you, because just like Google punishes people who are doing spam.
Yep.
Instagram is starting to, I've heard. Maybe that's what the shadow ban was. I don't know.
They're gonna honestly, I think they're gonna start doing
down.
some stuff like that because of what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like there is a
exactly.
lot of that stuff on there.
Also,
and we
it's
actually
just rude.
Yeah. That's just rude.
It's just in bad taste. Don't do
Yeah,
it.
and so this is another thing we've talked about too. Like, there's a lot of stuff because Instagram was so easy to do that on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird things happening there.
Yeah.
This like Insta famous stuff, like we talked about, is really weird to me. Like, we were actually we have this idea, or I have this idea. I don't know, Ray agrees with me or not, of like going and renting a really nice car. Right, like us going out and doing it and just showing how easy it is to go and rent a really nice car and like go take some really fancy pictures and then post on Instagram. Like, it's so ridiculously easy for these people to come and like fake people out.
Oh yeah.
And everybody thinks they're like super rich because they threw like $800 on a bed.
Yeah. Which is
come on
also,
now.
it's totally not related, but like, I saw this video the other day, and this guy said we have an age limit on drinking and smoking and like all these things which are addictive. We have no age limit on social media, and I was like, oh my goodness, yes, you should totally have an age limit for a lot of reasons, but that's one of them.
There's some weird stuff happening.
There's some weird stuff.
And the thing is, I don't know, like I'm weird about that because I think that like I know what video you're talking about where he's talking about it being addictive.
Yeah.
I think that like being social has always been addictive, and I think we're just kind of freaked out because it's here.
It's so different. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and because it's always there. And don't get me wrong, absolutely can get unhealthy for people.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, because
if you're replacing real interaction with that, then yes.
Yeah.
But I'm not addicted. I don't have a problem.
Well, and it's like I don't have a right, but it's
hard.
funny because like sometimes interactions on social end up like this, where it's a one-on-one, like it's actual.
Well, and we connected through social media, and now look,
We're
really
touching
here,
real person.
really here. So I mean, good things and bad things. I mean, you can get clients through. I'm not saying it's bad at all, but yeah, you do have to, I guess, kind of be careful. But I don't feel like I answered your question. You said like tips for social media.
Yeah.
I would say just schedule it for yourself, or schedule it on Facebook, which is a really good tool. And other than that, I mean, be genuine with your hashtags, as genuine as you can.
Like for like.
And do a lot of research on the hashtags. I don't have a problem if someone wants to come to my page and copy my hashtags.
Yeah.
Like, it's working for me. So, it's not like I invented these hashtags. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so, and I've heard people doing that. I don't do that because I'm awesome. But if you want to, it's fine. But no, like, do research. Like, who's killing it? Who's doing really good on social media? Go see what their hashtags are. I don't feel like that's plagiarizing at all.
No, it's like, all about, like, you have to pay attention to that stuff. I agree.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's research.
Watch the people who are doing it well.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
If
that's
you
just
have
like connecting with people.
I know that people can get really upset when, people are like, I'm watching you on Facebook, congratulations. What was I saying? I'm sorry, I should have looked at my phone.
That friend's gonna be like, what a jerk.
I know, I'm sorry. But no, okay, so copy. Like, I've never been upset if people copy my ideas. I mean, to a certain extent, I know that can be a problem, like if a big company copies another big company. But if someone's just starting out and they want to do a pose that I did, I didn't invent anything. I mean, I never even call myself an entrepreneur. I own a business. Yeah. I didn't create anything that wasn't already there.
It's already existed.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and that's like, I think it was a lot of things too, like not being, like thinking that you're going to, like an idea is going to like destroy your business is not absolutely like bullcrap. Like that's not true. Like an idea is just an idea. Whether or not that person's willing to go do it is a different story.
And if you came up with an idea and then someone copied it, go think of another idea. Like, I just, to a certain extent, I know that can get, there actually is plagiarism and things going on. So for me, that doesn't happen because I just take pictures. But, you know.
When I'm thinking about this, like you're talking about, like, go copy my, you literally just invited people to go copy your hashtags, and I have a funny feeling most people will not.
Yeah. But you can if you want.
Which is weird, but it's true, you know?
And there are, like, with hashtag strategies, I actually have like a memo in my phone of just like hashtag strings, and I'm like, if I post a really rad like floral design picture, this is the hashtag that I'll use for that. And I have a few different options so it doesn't get too spammy. But one thing, I don't know if I want to say this because I don't want someone to take it. One thing I really want to do is shoot a wedding in the Faroe Islands. Don't do it. Dibs. So I've been like hashtagging strategy for that.
She's so funny.
It's like at the top of my bucket list. So if anyone goes before me, I won't cry. So unless you take me with you, then we can hang out. But anyway, so yeah, and I don't know.
No, real quick. Facebook Live is loving you.
Good.
So you know. All the
Because she's amazing.
Melissa Herrera Romo. I'm sorry.
Hi, Melissa.
She said, all the advice you're giving is so encouraging and helpful for the business. You're awesome, Elizabeth. Kara Wilson Mabel said, I love the realistic answers, Liz. You have to schedule your time for things. I even schedule family time to make sure I'm making that a priority.
Kara is awesome.
So let's close this out. How many people do we have watching right now?
We've been floating around 10 for about
so let's
10,000, wow.
if anybody wants to like
No, 10,000. Wow.
10,000. Yes, my goodness. So if anybody wants to like throw some questions out, like keep an eye on that. Oh, okay, good. So one of the things, kind of as we get this closed out, let's do some shameless plugs again. Give us your social stuff, and we can.
So Instagram, I am at Lizard Nickel Photography. You should check it out.
And it's Lizard, the animal lizard. Nickel, the coin.
Nickel, Nickel, people.
Yes.
We learned this in 3rd grade. Lizard Nickel Photography.
Yes.
Facebook is facebook.com/Lizard Nickel Photography. Twitter is at Lizard Nickel. I don't do Snapchat because I'm old. My website is www.lizardnickel.com. And I'm doing a workshop July 22nd. That's the early announcement right there. So I'm going to announce it tonight. Please come to my party.
Please, we don't have to
It'll
talk.
be so fun.
We don't have to talk.
Fun. Yeah.
Sweet. So, cool. We're good. I think we feel good about this. This was an awesome interview. You've been super fun.
Thank you.
So, guys,
I feel like you
appreciate it.
probably want to have me back sometime.
Yeah. Always.
I can tell.
I love new stuff. And then it'd be really cool, like having people like returning things and new advice, because then you kind of get used to it. Of course.
Yeah.
So
I
this has
feel
been.
like any of those topics could be like.
Oh my goodness, we could go forever on some of this stuff. So
maybe I'll interview you sometime.
We'll do that.
On my blog.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
I'm blogging now.
Collaborate.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when you get Snapchat, right?
# Faroe Islands wedding.
We're going to make that a thing.
Sweet.
It's a thing.
Right?
It's only my thing.
Just hers.
Dibs on Faroe Islands. You can copy everything else, but take me with you. Okay,
Sweet.
I'll stop
So
talking.
you're good. No, you're fine. You're super fun. I love this. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and we guess we'll see you next time.
Bye.